Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of the Brenton On Tour Travelcast, back with my very excellent co-host, Mercedes Nicoll. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I mean, I'm in my house, so it is what it is.
Everyone's in their house. Mercedes, you've got brand new equipment. Look at
I
you.
do. Look at
And
this microphone.
you got a microphone, you got brand new equipment, and you've brought some friends along for the ride. This is going to be an audio and a video version of what we're up to, but tell us who you brought along for this episode of the Travelcast here
All
today.
right, so I have my Olympic friends, Derek Livingston, who I've traveled the world with. He's in 2019 had 2 World Cup podiums, so he's still on the circuit, which is awesome. We went to 2 Winter Olympics together. We've got Britt Janyk, who's an Olympic skier. She competed in 2010 for Team Canada. No shortage of World Cups for her. She had competed at 186 World Cups. So she's been all over the world. A lot of titles to her: Canadian national champion 6 times in Super G. I'm not going to name all because she's got a lot. And then we have Maelle Riker, who's an Olympic snowboarder as well. You guys might know her as the golden girl from the 2010 Olympics. She was the first woman to win Olympic gold on Canadian home soil, which is amazing. And I've been lucky enough to travel with her as well all over the world. And she has about 128 World Cup starts. So a lot of miles on all of these athletes travel.
Amazing. I appreciate all you guys making the time. I know we're all very busy right now in quarantine. Who's got? So I know we're jammed up doing different things. We're all trying to find ways to keep busy and doing stuff, but there has been no shortage of topics to discuss as we kind of roll through. We've all traveled. I travel a lot. Mercedes is co-hosting with me because she travels just as much as I do, and we kind of were chatting about this idea about getting you guys on, because I was curious just in my own brain as to what's happening with you guys right now. I mean, the Olympics have been canceled and moved, and obviously it's changed that whole world, and the world of travel is going to change for us all. So I just wanted to kind of get you guys on to kind of talk about it and sort of see what we're up to and what you're up to and what you're keeping busy. So why don't we go around the table here for a minute, and the table on the computer, and kind of have a little bit of a chat. So first thoughts. Mercedes, you want to go ahead, or do you want me to lead here?
Well, you can start. Do you want to talk about the Olympics being
Yeah,
canceled?
let's talk about the Olympics for a minute. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the 2020 Tokyo Games have been not canceled, postponed until next summer. So that really hasn't happened before. I mean, someone tell me if I'm wrong. So that's just challenging for the summer athletes. We've got 2 retired athletes and 1 hopeful for the 2022 Beijing Games, which is Derek. So I know that I've been sharing information about kind of how this would affect the Winter Olympics. It doesn't really. It just affects the Canadian Olympic Committee in the sense that they're going to have a lot of work on their hands. I'm going to throw it to probably Derek first to see what he has to say about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's definitely the right call, obviously, because we don't know how long this is going to last. We could be quarantined for 6 months. Who knows? But like, just from my perspective, I can see that it's going to affect a lot of the summer athletes in the sense that, like, they still don't know what their qualification process is going to be. They still have some qualification events that are going to happen. But the upside of this, and this is from my perspective, is like it gives people a little bit more time to recover from injuries, to work on their training, to prepare a little bit more. It gives them that a little bit of extra time. I know it's like a big shock to them and their whole mental process of thinking and being ready for the Olympics, but you know, they've got another year to refocus and get ready for it. For me specifically, like I've been snowboarding on an ankle that hasn't been at 100% since October. And I've been trying to balance, like, do I do more recovery and take more time off, or do I snowboard more and try and get my skills back up to 100% so I can stay competitive? And so now this quarantine is actually helping me recover a little bit more. So I'm thankful for it, even though it's a really shitty situation.
Yeah.
But, and I think a lot of athletes can be in the same boat where they have that extra time to prepare.
Awesome. Maelle, you're a coach of the snowboard cross team for Team Canada. And what do you, like, if you went to an Olympics and they were postponed for a year, how would you deal with that yourself and also now for the athletes?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I think it's really great that they didn't cancel the games altogether. I think that's a very big step, first of all. So to allow the games to be postponed a year and to find the logistics and figure all that out is a huge testament to the sporting world. So that's, first of all, my hat goes off to them because that's going to be an amazingly huge feat. But as far as preparing, like what would I do differently? I mean, the thing is you work in that 4-year cycle, and you've been in that 4-year cycle since whenever you started in the sort of prep for Olympics. If you're in your first Olympics or your fifth Olympics, there's that sort of 4-year cycle that you're attached to. So I think the people that are really able to adapt the quickest and see how they can manage this extra year tacked on to the 4-year buildup are the ones that are going to succeed. And those are the ones that inevitably prepare for everything, or prepare for as much as they can, but know that they can perform in under desirable circumstances. So I think it's going to really show who the best of the best. It's going to show like diversity and adaptability, which is really neat.
Yeah, it's going to be a wild games to watch. Probably my first summer games that I will have ever watched because I'm now retired and not snowboarding. Britt, let's throw it to you. What are your thoughts on the Olympics being postponed?
Yeah, I think, I mean, imagine all the summer athletes are going through all sorts of emotions and feelings. They can't, their training's been halted. And then the weeks lead up to the final, the decision, I can't even imagine what they went through, but at least now they have an answer and they know that they're postponed a year. So it's like a new preparation period has begun. And I love that Maelle brought up adaptability, because that's kind of like the one thing that we as athletes are good at is adapting, because schedules change. And especially I think the 4 of us sitting here being outdoor athlete, being in outdoor sports, weather is a fact, like you have to be able to roll with it, and schedules change, events change. So I think certainly the ones that can adapt the best and make that transition and just add on that extra, now they've got more, change your perspective and use it as a positive. They've got more time to prepare now for their games.
I'm curious from an outside perspective as to the funding and part of it. So you guys are obviously having to deal with probably having real jobs as well when you were going through the process. So with that being stalled a year, it kind of throws everyone's budget out of whack, including Team Canada, which I thought I'd dress up for today, but including Team Canada. But I'm curious what goes through an athlete's mind when now maybe they might lose a year of funding, or how does it work in that process? Because I'm curious.
So a lot of athletes get government funding if they have qualified for it. And that I was just on the call with the Canadian Olympic Committee and a bunch of the athletes, and that doesn't change if you've qualified for it. And it's the same with the qualifying process. If you've qualified for the games, your personal spot, you're still going to the games. There are still people that haven't qualified, but if you're going with funding, that AAP funding, that government funding, will stay the same throughout the duration of when it starts and stops, and if you've qualified for it.
The government's putting out a lot of money right now.
The government is putting a lot of money out right now.
There's a lot of money going on.
I hope some of the athletes can benefit from it too. It's interesting. A lot of them are sponsored and don't have another income. So whether that's a question that I have to ask is like, sure, if you're sponsored and you have that income coming in, is that going to keep coming in, or is that company just going to stop because of this? I don't know.
It's an interesting one. It's a weird time in the world right now. Training wise, what are you guys doing right now? What are you doing right now? Like, what's happening with you guys right now? The COVID's down. Everyone's chilling, quarantining. Mercedes, you're probably ready to start an art store, I'm guessing.
Oh my gosh. No, I am more fit than I probably have been since I've been retired. I'm like, all right, we're going to do virtual workouts 3 days a week. And then other than that, I'm going to work out on my own. So I'm accountable to someone. I don't know what, Maelle, what are you doing?
I'm running around after a 2-year-old, so that's like a pretty good workout. But I've got my spin bike out on the deck. So I got the sandbox next to the spin bike. So it's a nice little setup. Good view. And then we have programs that are out to the athletes, and then I can always jump in on those once a week. We do a little online program together, and then that keeps me motivated as well. So
Are they doing like mostly body weight stuff? Because maybe most of them don't have weights.
You know what? It's very impressive how they all seem to have like figured out different systems where they are across the country and how to make the most out of it. A lot of them actually do have weights. I think their local gyms have lent them stuff, or they have stuff from their parents, who knows, crawl space from the 70s. So there's like
yes.
Yeah, but everybody's made like little makeshift gyms, and I am so impressed. And then of course there's like all those challenges that are circulating through social media, which is like so incredibly impressive. There's a couple of snowboarders that are putting out some really neat little videos that I like following along and watching them.
Yeah, awesome. Derek, what are you doing right now? How's your foot doing?
It's getting a lot better. Like when we stopped, like about a month ago when we stopped snowboarding, pretty much, like I couldn't really do calf raises on my injured foot. So now I can actually do a bunch of them and do multiple sets. So I'm building back the strength and the stability through the ankle, which is good. But yeah, like I don't have a lot of space in my house or even around my house. So like I've got a skipping rope and like a 40-pound weight from the gym that we work at. Our trainer was able to drop that off for me. And other than that, I just use random things around the house, like fill shopping bags with.
Are you not squatting your dog?
Stuff. No, I actually will get my girlfriend Ashley to get on my shoulders, and I'll do squats or some step ups with her on my shoulders. It's actually pretty fun. She's helpful.
Nice, Britt.
But yeah, like we're just
my works out.
You can squat the 2-year-old. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be like a feather for Maelle.
That's right.
Yeah.
I just hold her up on my finger.
Yeah.
There you go.
Britt, I saw you do the push-up challenge. What else are you doing?
Oh yeah, I did the push-up challenge. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of just playing around a little bit. You know, I get my mat out, and I'm the same. I've got 2 kids at home, 8 and 5, and so they keep me busy enough. But it's nice that they're kind of at an age where they can go out and play outside. I kick them outside and then do some body weight stuff outside. And I think I'm just trying to mix it in. I certainly notice that as soon as I get a little bit active and move my body, my mood changes, and I start to, like I feel better, and that helps a lot. And I think just, in my situation, I had 2 kids that were at school and now they're home, and I'm not a homeschooling parent. This is so new for me.
Sadly, my children are saddled with half of my brain. So they're struggling with the grade 6 and grade 4 math. That's crazy. Mercedes, last episode, we chatted a bit about the impact of the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver. I moved to Vancouver in 2005 and sort of caught the wave of getting the Olympics being, confirmed, and then all the madness and infrastructure that went into the city. Can you guys explain your feelings on just that time frame? Because it was a really crazy time in Vancouver, but just from a personal standpoint, what it made you feel as an Olympian, being part of that in your home country, and just the madness that was going with it, because it was such an incredible coast to coast thing, and everyone was involved. And I am curious from an athlete perspective what you guys felt.
So just to make it understandable, Britt was in Whistler for the games, and then Maelle and I were in Vancouver for the games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Maelle, do you want to talk about it first?
Well, I can talk about the lead up to the games after it got announced in 2003. There was a lot of work done on the highway. Like, I was living in Squamish at the time, and I was training in North Vancouver. So I actually really was right in the heart of the highway upgrade. And that to me was sort of the real life sort of time lapse of the preparations for the games. If I like think back to that actual period of time, and it was real. It was madness. Like there was. They were so cute.
You're speechless, Maelle. You're speechless.
Yeah,
it was that impactful.
Well, it was because I was carpooling with like 3 or 4 of my teammates in Squamish, and every morning we like made our coffee, had our little snacks, and we'd make our way down to North Van. And every morning we ran into the same construction workers, the guys that were like running and women, men and women that were running the stop slow signs, and they were awesome. Like it's kind of like the health everybody that's working now, like they're so impressive, and I maybe that's like a really bad thing to relate to, but they were so positive, and there was like sheet rain, like the nastiest of nasty conditions sometimes, and they were like always out there super pumped. So we always brought them, the double or the Timbits or whatever to keep them stoked. So I actually made some good friendships along the highway.
Maelle, the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, and Britt and Mur, you can maybe add to this, but I believe one of those workers ended up with Citizen of the Year in Whistler, didn't he? Didn't he have the parking spot under the conference center? It was the guy with the long sort of curly.
Yeah. I know exactly who you're talking about, but I don't think I lived in Whistler at that time.
I don't know if he got the Citizen of the Year.
He was the best though. He's the happiest guy, and like
I just picture like the small town story of that. Where it's like everyone's gathered around the TV, you win the gold medal, and the guy's like, hey, the girl on the TV there, she's bringing me to some double doubles, and the Timbits right there. She's real nice. I just picture it, and then that's like every single week did you guys see last week there, the girl that she won with the thing, she's flipping around? Yeah, she brings me to the double double there. So it's a funny thing how it brought this country together.
It did. It really did.
Over Timbits.
Should we move on to travel stories?
Yeah, okay. So we talked a bit about travel assholes, and Mercedes spent some of that. We've all experienced a travel asshole or two in our time, and dare I say, some of the travel assholes might have caused this COVID. I don't know, who knows? There's something going on, but. Travel assholes and travel stories as you're traveling to the Olympics or into training. Mercedes had some really funny things about people that make her wait for her luggage, and it drives her crazy. I think
it drives everyone crazy. I'm just gonna say that.
I'm curious as to travel story nightmares that you guys have gone through, lost gear or anything like that, or a travel asshole you've experienced that you just wish they would just stop doing what they're doing. So let's go around the table and get your travel asshole story. Who wants to go first?
I'll start. I can't think of any travel assholes, but like one of the worst situations I've ever been in was I don't know, a couple years ago I didn't have my funding, so I was kind of doing my season on a budget, and so I was like picking like the cheapest flights I could find. So I didn't care if I had like a 4 or 5 hour layover instead of like a direct connection, because I was saving like $500 or $400 here or there, right? So I was going down to Mammoth Mountain in California. I had to fly through San Francisco, and I had to get on like the 5 a.m. flight out of Vancouver, get to San Francisco, wait, like, I don't know how long my layover was, but I'm just like so tired from the travel, like living in Whistler, getting up at 2 a.m. to get down to the airport, Yeah. So I'm like exhausted. I get on my flight to go from San Francisco to Reno. And I put my passport in the seat back pocket, like I do on every flight. But then when we get to Reno, get up, grab my things, get off the plane, get my bags, wait for my team to come in 3 hours later. And then I'm like, I don't have my passport. Where the hell is my passport? I look through my bags, look through my backpack, my pocket, my jacket, everything, and I don't have it. And I realize I just left it on the plane.
You're your own travel asshole.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to talk to people to get them to call the airplane, and you can't call the airplane, but call like San Francisco and say, don't put this through Lost and Found, just send it back to Reno, because the flight San Francisco to Reno goes every couple hours. It's just like
Did you
one
get
plane
it?
that goes back and forth.
Did
No,
you
they
get the
weren't
passport?
helpful at all. They said, just make a report online, you'll get it back. So I go to this training camp in Mammoth, and then I think like a week and a half later, I still haven't heard anything about my lost passport. And, they should have found it and like made a report that same day.
Dun, dun,
But
dun.
yeah, so I just have to, like, at that point, I had to make the decision to like call the embassy in San Francisco and say, hey, I've lost my passport. I need to get like a travel document to get back into Canada.
Mhm.
So I rent a car, drive to San Francisco, and from Mammoth, it's about 6 hours. Park, go into my meeting, get all my travel documents sorted, no problem. I walk out and I see my car getting towed because I parked in like a commercial loading zone or something. It's like the worst of the worst. It just like kept getting worse, so
Oh. Moral of the
there I am.
story, don't cheap out on tickets.
Yeah, just like
Discount Air. I think we covered that, didn't we, Mercedes?
Exactly.
We did.
Discount Air with a giant snowboard bag.
Yeah.
Mercedes went off on that. It was a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a while.
So I
should-
like 2 hours later, I figure out where my car's towed to. I go to the parking lot, and I had to pay like a $500 fine.
Oh, zing. And
Yeah,
I know Derek, and I know he's pissed about that.
Oh, I'm pissed. Yeah. I had to pay a $500 fine plus like a ticket plus like fees on the car for taking like toll roads and stuff. Like it just added up. It just like I spent more money trying to get my passport back than I did saving on all the cheap flights I took all season.
This is like the best story for me because I've traveled with him for so long. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you
So
Britt, Maya, are you sort of like familiar with Derek's story here in travel? Like Mercedes is really getting a kick out of this. She knows this really well.
Well, I gotta say, Derek, what are you doing putting your freaking passport in the seat of the airplane? Like, come on.
Rookie.
I
That's
put
like such a
everything there,
rookie
your
move.
headphones, your phone, your water bottle. I just put everything back there, and then I just didn't pick up my passport for some reason. I don't know.
I'm just teasing you, but seriously though, don't do that. That's like asking for it.
Life lessons with Maelle.
There you go.
Yeah.
you just gotta start your own
Hey.
podcast, man.
Hard knock life.
The other lesson is don't fly when you're sleep deprived.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I make that mistake a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll get on that 6:00 flight, and I'm like, I live in Whistler. It's 2 hours away. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, Mercedes, when you don't go to bed till 5 anyways,
I know.
might as well just book those flights. Brett, you got any funny stories about travel?
I have a good one. I have a good one. There was a couple of years ago. So one of my last years racing, it might have been the year after the Olympics. We had a downhill and Super G, some events in Bansko, Bulgaria, and it was like the first World Cup they'd hosted there. So they chartered a plane from Munich to I think we flew into Sofia, and then we would bus to the event. So on the Sunday, our race is done. We all get on. We had to wait a while before we got on the buses. So of course we had some time to kill, and there was a bowling. So we, the kind of relaxing after the event, a weekend of racing, of horrible racing. We had a few drinks and got on the bus. And I would say the buses weren't alcohol free either. But we still have this long, we're like, okay, we'll just go to Sofia, and we've got a short flight, a charter flight back to Munich, easy. So we get to the airport, we unload all our stuff, and we get on the plane. Everything's going fine. And we're starting our descent to Munich. And all of a sudden the plane starts to go back up into the air. And the pilot, at this point it's about 11 at night, it's pretty late. And we're all feeling pretty tired and just want to land. And we had about another hour and a half drive to get to our our home base in Austria, where we were for the winter. So it was going to be a late night anyways, but we were definitely ready to get back. So the plane starts to go back up in the air because it's too foggy in Munich to land. So the plane reroutes and they can land in Stuttgart. So we go to Stuttgart, we land. We have to get a hotel for the night. So this is the whole women's World Cup circuit, the downwind Super G circuit is on this chartered plane. So we all file out of the airport in Stuttgart, and we're just waiting to get, to find out where we're going to stay. So we get rooms. We finally get into rooms at 2 a.m. We get up the next day at, I think, pretty early. Buses were leaving, so we couldn't get on they weren't putting us on a flight back to Munich. We had to get on buses to get bus back to Munich. And all of our bags were going somewhere, on a different bus. Then we eventually made it, back.
How were you feeling?
The next afternoon. Pretty horrible.
Yeah.
Pretty horrible. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But we were all feeling pretty horrible. Everyone was in the same boat. We were all together in it.
I feel
But
like
yeah, that was
never,
probably the most that detour.
I honestly think you never learned that lesson of not flying hungover. You're like,
No.
I'm never going to do it again. Never. And then you're like, oh, here we go again.
Here I am again.
Happening.
I'll do a lot
So
of
yeah, just that whole event.
do a lot of Olympic athlete stories start like that. I don't know if we're going to make our bus. I don't know if we're going to make our
I
plane.
don't know if we're going to make our bus.
Where you're training.
Yeah,
I have missed a lot of flights. We've covered that.
we did cover that, and we did cover that. Yeah. What's next for everybody? What's happening now that the COVID is taking over everyone's life? But as we move forward, obviously you're rehabbing the ankle. There's parenthood. Mercedes is opening an art studio. What's going on with everybody right now for the foreseeable future, as it seems to be locked down for about 18 months? So tell me a story. What's going on there?
Well, I work for a painting company in the summer here in Whistler, so we're actually going to get started up in a couple weeks. So that's going to be my saving grace, because I don't know how much of this isolation I could take. So at least that'll get me out of the house. I'll be working. I'll be doing something other than just sitting on the couch scrolling through Netflix or through Instagram. So I'm actually pretty excited for that. I don't know what our regulations are going to be in terms of keeping our social distancing and whatnot, and not interacting with the other workers and stuff, but everything we're doing is outside, so we can be on a job site and not see other people for the whole day if we needed to. So
Keep your sanity working.
yeah, should be nice.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. So just on a side note, Zoom has removed our time restraint.
Boom.
There is some
Thanks, COVID.
Thanks, COVID. Thanks. It's the gift that keeps on giving to me anyways.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah.
Britt, what are you up to?
Well, I'm going to, try and see if I can homeschool my kids day by day. Just being here, trying to get out and be active. I'm trying to just, every day shift my perspective and kind of embrace this slower pace, and, having this extra time with my kids. And other than that, I run a, home-based business, which I'm really pretty grateful for, that I still have something actively to do and have that community to connect with. So that's great. And yeah, looking ahead, we had plans to go to Scotland, where we have family, at the end of the summer. And that's probably not going to happen. So we're finding different ways to reach out and connect with them. And I'm certainly, you get creative with how you're reaching out to people. And I've had a lot of Zoom calls like this with friends. I just had a friend about her 40th, and we all got on a Zoom call, and, it's not the same as being in person, but it was nonetheless really fun. So yeah, just looking ahead, finding all these little different ways that we can stay connected and stay active.
Nice. Maelle?
I
have a 2-year-old.
No, I'm doing some online schooling. I'm upgrading some of my coaching certification, and then as well as doing some leadership work, which is neat. And then we're sort of just creating plans A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, all the way through the alphabet with the team, so that as we get more freedom or less freedom or whatever, we have stuff in place so the athletes can still thrive.
Nice.
I am curious. We'll kind of wrap up here shortly, because I know everyone's got parents, and Derek, you got to rehab that ankle, and we got to get going. But as we move forward with the COVID and in all seriousness on the shutdown and what the athletes have had to go through and all the travel restrictions and things that are coming up, obviously we want younger athletes to listen to this. We want people to kind of still have some be positive and do the rest of it. Can we pass something on to some of the younger athletes that might be listening through adversity and what you guys have had to kind of go through just in your own kind of journey that might help in this particular case as they look towards the future and future, Olympics and events and stuff like that? I am curious as to how you guys would recommend these people get through it, the kids especially.
I can start. I can say now's the time to self-motivate. If you're not self-motivating, you're probably kind of going to go through a deep, dark depression. It's kind of like it's a forced retirement in a way right now for most athletes is how I feel. And it's not an easy time. So yeah, self-motivate, just try, like Maelle's doing school. I'm like, oh, should I be doing school? Like to learn from others and what they're doing and reach out to others. That's
great. Derek, you're in it. I mean, you're still training and going.
Yeah.
Sure,
Well, I mean, Mercedes pretty much nailed it right on the head. Like, look at what other people are doing, take notes from them, and ask them how they came to do, I don't know, whatever they're passionate about. So, because like we're all athletes, but that's not only who you are. You can find other things to keep you busy when you're not being an athlete, and not every athlete can do that 24/7, all year long, right? So I have a lot of friends who have taken up art, like Mercedes, and some of my other friends from around Whistler have just started doodling on their iPad and taking photos that they have from snowboarding and then like putting their own little twist to it. Other people are learning guitar, other people are taking school, there's a lot you can do. But yeah, just try and stay occupied, self-motivate, or reach out to others to help motivate you as well.
Maybe take your phone away from yourself at least an hour a day.
While you're doing spin beside a sandbox.
There you go.
Right? Yeah, that's great. Maelle, what do you got for your listeners here?
I kind of just want to steal a bunch of quotes that have been that I've heard. Like I know Mercedes has had some like amazing speakers like Mark Tewksbury and Marnie McBean that have done some talks, and there's like these little gems that always stick with me, like make sure that you're filling up your cup, like make sure every day you're doing all the little things that in the long term are gonna like reach your long-term goal. So like every day, if it means like make a checklist or something like that, but really make sure that you're doing all the little things, because those are the things that consistently matter to make a bigger change. So I think that's super important. And then nobody ever said, even at the best of times, like nobody ever said like, woohoo, that was easy. Like there's always going to be like obstacles to get over. So if you can just take this as one of the many obstacles, I think try and make the best out of it. So yeah, there we go. Thanks, Marnie.
Wisdom.
What do you think, Britt?
Yeah, I think it's definitely all along the lines of what the others have said. You got to focus on what you can control during these times, and the things that you can control are the habits that you create and the tasks that you do daily. And like Maelle said, all those little things that will get you closer to the end goal and the dream. But yeah, it's the little things to do each day, those little motivating things. Maybe you have a couple of habits that you've wanted to improve on and change, and you've got the space and the time now to do that. Or maybe you want to try and develop a new skill or a new talent. And it's a little bit like I was speaking to some young kids with the Grouse Tai Club last weekend, and it's almost like you treat this as if you're an injured athlete. Like it's in those spaces when you've been injured and you're forced to step away from your sport. You learn more about what motivates you as an athlete, what drives you, where your passion lies. And I think you can really use this time to discover all those things and to learn about what's really gonna what's really motivating you to stick with it day to day.
I think that's the core of it. I think that's the core of it. And the other side of it is all the great things usually in life happen when you say yes. You get some kind of answer or you get some kind of result. So hopefully people are saying yes more and doing things like this, like joining Mercedes and I.
Yeah, thank you.
Really appreciate you guys coming on and helping us push this thing forward. We're having a lot of fun with it. And I'm sure you're getting lots of requests and having to balance us into your schedule is means a lot to both of us. So I really appreciate you guys joining us today on the newest edition of the Travelcast. So where can we all find you online? Tell us that, and then we'll let you get out of here.
Online, you can find me on Instagram at DK Livingston or on Facebook at Derek Livingston. Throw all my content up on there.
Britt?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. You can find me under Britt Janyk. Yes, or you can look under my married name is Tilston. So I'm under both, and same on Facebook. I'm pretty active on both Instagram and Facebook.
Maelle, how active are you?
You can find me walking a big white furry dog.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a really white furry dog that's not very well trained, and a owner that's yelling after it. That's probably me. It's probably your best chance of finding me. I do have an Instagram account. It's at Maelle Riker. I don't post that often, but yeah, if you want to look me up or direct message me there, that's totally fine.
Awesome.
Amazing. Mercedes, thanks for gathering the troops together. Anything you want to add before we let everybody go?
No, just a huge thank you. I know you guys have a lot to do, even though we're in quarantine. Thank you. Love you all. Miss you. So good
Thanks
to see
for
your
having
faces.
us.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Thanks. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.